Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Roy Evans of the Jericho Broadcast Networks, and I am here with Mr. Darren Reed, who is the Senior Vice President of Stride Professional Development. Darren, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Roy. Glad to be here.
All right, well, thanks. So let's start off by telling the folks a little bit about what Stride Professional Development is.
Yeah, absolutely. Stride is the nation's leading provider of online education in the K through 12 space. We were formerly known as K-12 Inc. and are over 2 decades in the space of providing free virtual online education across the nation to students, no matter where they are. We've since changed our name to Stride because we've expanded beyond the K-12 space, though that's still very much what we do as a priority. What we've also done with the Stride Professional Development Center is we've leveraged some of our expertise over the past 2+ decades of supporting schools and students and educators, teachers, principals, and we are trying to innovate, the way professional development happens for educators, and that we're doing that through the Stride Professional Development Center. Gone are the days where it's face-to-face only PD. It's episodic professional development. It's professional development that's not necessarily relevant to what teachers and educators need right away. So the Professional Development Center is designed to solve that challenge with some unique, innovative ways of delivering content.
All right, man. Well, listen, we are super excited here at the network to be engaged with you all and helping to provide this opportunity for teachers all across the country, and especially those teachers that are coming from our HBCU backgrounds, because we know that education was always one of the stalwarts of most HBCUs in this country. They all had teaching programs, and that's what a lot of them were founded for. So there, let's talk a little bit about those special programs that you guys have for the teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Roy, you hit on the very important point. Right now in our country, we're facing probably one of the greatest challenges, of our teaching corps that we have in many, many years. And that's around this teacher shortage. A lot of teachers are exiting the profession. Just based on tenure, they're retiring and moving on, and then you have, our existing teachers who are being taxed and stressed, particularly post-COVID with, increasing demands, challenges that they're facing in the classroom, and a host of other issues that they struggle with. And we need good teachers, and we need to support the teachers that we have. So the two things that we're doing is that we know first-year teachers, among all teachers, are among the first to leave the profession within the first 5 years. I think they do at a 44% rate, which is just scary to think that folks are, graduated, want to go in the classroom and make a difference, but, feel like they need to leave within the first 5 years because it's so challenging. So we want to support them. Obviously, as a new teacher, your school that you work where you work your first year, the district where you work, there will be some professional development support to assist you. But we want to go a step further. We want to help every teacher in the country get off to a strong start to their first year and have some stick-to-itiveness, to help them get through that first year. So we're offering a year free access to the Stride Professional Development Center. It's a ever-growing online database of courses that will help them in a variety of different ways. Classroom management, targeted instruction, and a host of other things. And the content will continuously grow. Again, it's just another resource that allows them to sharpen their practice, to feel like they're supported, because the research says that teachers are leaving in large part because they don't feel like they get enough professional support. So we really hope that helps new teachers. So again, this is for any new teacher who just graduated in the country. All you have to do is go to our site and sign on using the Teachers Win discount at checkout. Also, we have another campaign where during Teacher Appreciation Week, we gifted all teachers in the country, no matter where you are, 6 months free Professional Development Center access. But we're doing a special thing through our partnership with the BCSN and our HBCU graduates, and also the schools that you work with. We want any teacher in the country who through our partnership gets access to the Professional Development Center, and they get 6 months free using the BCSN 23 passcode at checkout. Again, our goal is to support and get as many teachers on the site feeling supported, to really help them succeed and have some success, not only for them, but obviously for our kids and the communities they serve. So
Most definitely. And Darren, listen, we are super excited again to be a part of this. My mother was a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. I have my best friend is a teacher.
Absolutely.
So we understand. I've worked in the school system for years. So I understand the resources that are needed. I understand why a lot of these teachers do take the time and they sit there, and after going through college, they're like, you know what, let's do something different. Yeah. So we're happy to be a part of this to help you guys change that. So ladies and gentlemen, here's all you guys need to do. All you need to do is take a look and go to the link that's right below us right now and see what you're going to do. You're going to see 2 links on the page now, just to make sure. The top one takes you to their professional development page, homepage. That'll let you know about some of the things that are happening there and the things that you have access to. Go to the second link that says Teacher Appreciation. That'll take you directly to the content page where you can sign up and get your free year if you're a new teacher, and your free 6 months if you're an existing teacher. Let's show them how we utilize resources, and we make sure that we take time, those folks who are HBCU alum, and use this. And let's see what Stride has to offer. We're excited about it. We know you will be too. Darren, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the folks?
No, I mean, just, as a teacher myself, and understanding the need, and of course with the diversity that's needed in our teaching corps across the country, I know our HBCU teacher graduates are just exactly what we need in our community. So I really encourage them, and just glad to be doing this partnership with you all.
All right. Well, folks, there you go again, Mr. Darren Reed, Senior Vice President of Stride Professional Development Learning. We will be seeing you guys, and trust me, you'll be seeing more from their partnership with us as we move forward, always trying to do our best to make sure that we move forward with the community. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment. He's treating the bigwigs to dinner, man. He's spending some money, man. Spend money on us like that, I'm gonna have to talk about him.
Well, I'm gonna give him a pass because y'all treated me pretty well in the 50s. So I got a shout out to both of y'all for that. So I know where deep pockets can go.
Yeah, he know what he's doing. He know how to set it out, as we like.
Yes, indeed.
Welcome to episode 421 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast that is covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. We just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Yada Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We are filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSOA's 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, Charles, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. It is game week. We are finally here. We get a little bit of football this weekend. Week 0 is upon us, so looking forward to getting over to Atlanta, Jackson State versus South Carolina State in the X-WAC Challenge.
Did you say it was game week?
It's game week. It's game week. It's here. It's here.
So there's like a game coming up this week.
We got a game coming up this weekend. Looking forward to it.
Man, I forgot. Just a little old thing called the MEAC Challenge, a big time matchup between Jackson State University and North Carolina Central. Depending on what side you come from, you may say SWAC-MEAC challenge. But
that's true.
With that being said, today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational and consulting and data analytics. I'm going to jump with Sauce so we get a little chance to talk about it since it's just you and I. We can get into a little better and give a little more in-depth thought instead of just providing this as general HBCU news. You know, we've been talking a lot about these television opportunities and television deals. Well, HBCU Game Day.com is reporting that CIAA and HBCU Go were unable to reach a long-term agreement as the season nears. It appears that a budding long-term media relationship between HBCU Go and CIAA is no go at this time. Less than 1 month after announcing a set of 5 football games to be broadcast on the emerging platform, including a November 11th CIAA championship game, CIAA officials sent an email informing school officials that a long-term deal would not be taking place at this time. The email and sources indicate that the parties are still negotiating the deal to broadcast the games this season on a game-by-game basis. Specifically, the email on behalf of CIAA Commissioner Jackie McWilliams this past Thursday stated that the league would not enter into terms with Allen Media Group / HBCU Go due to terms that are non-negotiable. Allen Media Group, led by Chairman and CEO Byron Allen, bought HBCU Go in 2022 and broadcast HBCU football basketball games in 2022 and 2023. We also know with the SWAC, they will be broadcasting other sporting events as well. But in this case, the email indicates that HBCU Go was seeking a 10-year deal. If you recall, Charles, it's similar to what they did with the SWAC. Sure. Don't have the length of what they did with the SIC because they also got to deal with them as well. But on the counter offer, CIAA was seeming to want to shorten the deal in terms that they wanted. So there was some terminology that may have pushed the deal to a 5-year type of deal, but that still wasn't quite enough. There was quotes in this specifically from the email that says, quote, "For the past 6 months, we've done our best to align the agreement with what was presented and proposed by AMG HBCU Go back in the fall for consideration," end quote, the email reads. The email was also, sources indicate that there were discrepancies on the length and terms of the contracts. Attempts have been made to reach officials both by the conference and HBCU Go to get quotes directly from them. But another quote in regards to this was a huge opportunity to shift the CIAA media right platforms and exposure for all CIAA sporting events. You know, they've done a lot of work for themselves. They've had other partnerships and deals and previously had a deal with ESPN. But in terms of this quote, it also says, "We even explored shortening the term to 5 years when they made unexpected shifts from what the original proposed to the conference." As when you get into this, you have the attorneys, from both sides. They have to read the agreement deals, and then obviously it goes to the conference commissioners, goes to the presidents, chancellors. Then that's on the school side, and then when it gets to the media corporate side, you got those presidents and also CEO in terms of Byron Allen, or whoever he designates in terms of what he sees, and then obviously their lawyers have to read it in terms of their counsel. With this being said, you know, what are your thoughts on this? Just general course of business? Any concerns you see in regards to where this may be going? Do you think at some point they will probably find a way to agree on some terms? What general comes to mind when you hear this news about the impasse at this point in terms of extensive long-term contract between the CIAA and HBCU Go and the Byron Allen Media Group?
I think you hit the terminology that I was looking for on the head there, impasse. And sometimes you have impasses in contract negotiations, and you have certain people who are of the mindset of a long-term deal, and certain people who are of the mindset of a short-term deal. So I think at some point, and I'm curious, when you were talking about it, it was like, who were the presidents who were in one camp and who are the presidents in another camp, because of the changing landscape of the way television is happening. You probably have some in the camp that probably are looking at, okay, if we do a short-term deal, we get to renegotiate after X number of years, and who knows what the television landscape might be in 2027, 2028, or something to that effect. So, I'm curious in terms of how they get over the impasse, but I see it as a temporary setback.
Good stuff. From what you know about and have read and heard me talk about media deals, what do you gut prefer? Do you like the idea of short-term deals or long-term deals, particularly in this current media space that we're in?
Well, to me, the long-term deal is the sticky wicket, because a conference that, let's just say a conference that has a long-term deal going to 2035, whatever the case might be, with the landscape changing as much as it is, with teams looking actively participating in conference tournament and things of that nature, I'm not sure we're in that space right now where a long-term deal is the best thing. And you kind of take a look at it even from athletes negotiating contracts. I was always curious with Jordan doing a one-year deal, and you just open things up again to the possibility of renegotiation, and you never know. You bank on yourself, whatever the case might be, but you never know what the sort of landscape that you're looking at in 2028, 2029, or whatever the case might be. And it might be even more lucrative at that point in time if you go with a short-term deal now. So, I think it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. You can make a case for both, but I'm probably more in the short-term deal camp in terms of just the way that you're looking at how things sort of are playing out in front of us right now.
I'm glad that we got into this discussion because it gives a chance to play those things out and talk about the difference between a short-term deal and a long-term deal. As you look at it in terms of contracts with a player, the benefit of a short-term deal, if the market is growing, then you can take advantage of it. So that's one of the things that I think is a challenge in this current marketplace, because if you're looking from a linear deal, the challenges you have is linear rights and the funding part of linear are decreasing. People are cord cutting, right? And so those are little challenges you got. And you have this space where you got the streaming coming up, Apple, obviously YouTube, and those type of platforms in a lot of ways that are looking to get into business in regards to what they're seeking to change it. So I think that's the challenge that you're right. When you're looking at that space is what you're going to do it. And if you take the bigger picture, what you see with some of these conferences, oftentimes you see them thinking about doing short-term deals with the idea that they get a chance to come back for negotiations. But then that means that you got to be prepared for expansion. What is going to give you the benefit of being able to push the prices that you're seeking to increase it? What are you going to be able to put on the table to demand more? Because it's not necessarily that the marketplace is growing. It's oftentimes that you create the marketplace, in these cases, by expansion. So look at the Big Ten. When they came up for expansion, one of the things they looked at is you had the normal growth in the market, but you also had the opportunity, if they could bring in different brands, in this case, UCLA and USC, then they could command even more money in regards to the marketplace. So one of the challenges that you get in with HBCU programs, do they have the ability to really expand the market? Or other HBCU programs that they can expand to dictate that they have more opportunity to negotiate more programming, right? So when the SWAC was at 10 schools, they only had so many football games that they could program. When they go and span to 12, you have more content. So you get paid for that more programming content. So there's a lot of things that you want to look at in the marketplace to determine whether a long-term or short-term deal is beneficial. So it's good that you brought that up when you talk about whether you're going to focus on short-term or long-term deals.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. That's a fascinating conversation that I'm sure at some point, you get through the impasse, or you just take a look at where is this space in a couple of years from now. So it's the way that it's growing.
I think it's
really interesting.
Question. And when you talk about it, exactly right. AD drops out, and he's similar to you. Long-term deals are better for the television media and short-term deals. And I will say that the long-term is certainly better for the media from a lot of times, especially if they're going with a new brand or a new business, because it gives them a chance to get the sponsorship. If you're going with a short-term deal, it's harder for them to make the money back on short-term because they're trying to spread out and get the marketplace. I don't necessarily believe that it's always good for the conference. Like I was saying, is what are you doing in the conference to generate the fact that you're going to ask for more money? Just to say that over 5 years that you're going to ask for more, the market doesn't necessarily dictate that. The prime example of that is the Pac-12. The Pac-12 died because they didn't go to market fast enough in regards to the short-term deal that they had, which is the fact that the market cratered under them when they were looking for the deal. So they couldn't get the money that was out there because the marketplace literally cratered. So those are other issues. Even the ACC, while many people think that it's going to die, one of the ways it's able to sustain now is because it has a long-term deal that is locked, plus the guaranteed rights, obviously, but it's locked everybody in that space.
Sure.
And in 10 years, if the marketplace totally changes, they could benefit the fact that the marketplace is back up versus trending down right now. So I think we have to be careful of automatically thinking that just because you do a short-term deal that it's automatic beneficial to a conference. That is not always the case. Let's go to our first break. We'll come back on the other side and we'll get into some sports talk. But I wanted to open it up because I thought it was intriguing and gave us a chance to talk a little bit about the business side again that we like to do on the show to make sure that you get into a little bit of business banter of HBCU sports. With that, we'll take our first break. We'll come back on the other side and give you some more football talk.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We have one and other than T.C. Taylor, the head coach of Jackson State University. Man, he just got finished drawing us some plays, Coach.
You know, I'm staying in the lab right now. It's a big weekend coming up, man. We excited over here, but you know, I'm chopping at the bit a little bit to, you know, play a little football. But it's been good.
Man,
good
it's appropriate. You're inside the. Sorry about that. It's appropriate. I got excited about it. You said lab. That's appropriate. You're in the lab, so you know you got to
right
do what
here.
you do when you're in the lab.
Right now. Glad to be here, though. Good to see you guys, man. Hope everybody doing well.
Good to see you, Coach.
Yeah, it's good to hear you. We'll get to shake your hand in a couple days. We'll be in Atlanta.
Okay.
MEAC SWAC Challenge. SWAC, MEAC Challenge, depending on which side that you want to bring it up. You know, we don't understand how y'all lost the naming rights to the MEAC SWAC Challenge. I guess they went in alphabetical order. I guess it might be above your pay grade, so we won't blame it on. But let's get into it. I did want to ask you this question to kind of start things off from a preparedness. You've had an opportunity to play, coach in the Celebration Bowl multiple times, and obviously recently in the MEAC Challenge. What is the difference in terms of preparation for a bowl game versus starting the season off with this class?
I don't think it's too much difference. We know, you know, what's at stake anytime the MEAC plays the SWAC. A lot of bragging rights involved, you know, and you got one conference that's competing with the other. You know, you talk about the fans, the bands, and everything. It's a highly competitive situation, and I think what better way to start the season off with a MEAC SWAC or SWAC MEAC Challenge, and you end the season similar with the same type game. You know, it's going to be a physical football game, you know, and that's what we've been preparing our team for. MEAC plays a physical brand of football. I make no mistakes about it. And I can say it because I've coached in it, you know, and had some success in that league. They play a physical brand, you know, they want to hit you in the mouth. The SWAC is a little more fanfare, you know, you don't usually see a lot more points scored in the SWAC and, you know, bigger pageantry and everything. So I think it's awesome to start the season that way and to end it that way in two great HBCU conferences.
What is the benefit of being able to have that experience of being on both sides, if you would, in regards to being a coach in the MEAC, understanding literally the preparation and the style of play that is played in the MEAC, but also having the benefit of being in the SWAC recently in terms of the style of play and maybe how it slightly has changed over the years? Is there a benefit to that?
No, I wouldn't say so much as benefit, but I will say the one benefit is you're getting to go against great coaches from each conference. You know, great coaches from each conference. You know, I even think back to when we was at Central and we played in the Celebration Bowl, and we played against a great Gremlin team led by Devontae Kincaid and Coach Fobbs. You know, they had a lot of NFL guys on that roster. So to be able to go up against a great coach like Coach Fobbs was, and then you flip the script and, you know, go against Buddy Pugh a couple years ago. And then you think back when I first got to Jackson State in 2019, heck, we played Bethune-Cookman in the MEAC SWAC Challenge against Coach Terry Sims. You know, so to get the opportunity to play against all these great head coaches and these great players, I mean, it's been tremendous, you know, and I just think it's paid dividends. And like you said, I got a lot of experience in Atlanta, you know, a lot of experience over there in the city of Atlanta. So it's been you know, for the most part for me, to say I've been able to participate in those type games year after year, it's been a blessing. This deal that we're in, the coaching profession, it's day to day. So anytime you can have those opportunities to play in several Celebration Bowl, another MEAC SWAC challenge, it's a blessing from God.
You almost have as much experience as I do in Atlanta, but that's another show. Charles, go ahead.
Coach, I wanted to ask this question in terms of there's an unbelievable amount of curiosity about this Jackson State football team, but could you put out there for the fans across the nation, what type of Jackson State team will the TC Taylor bring to Atlanta this weekend?
Yeah, I think that's a fair deal. All the questions that everybody have, I always talk about how we had so much turnover with this roster, a brand new coaching staff. But one thing, Charles, nothing that hasn't changed is the expectation of this football staff, everybody in the building, these players that we were able to recruit, the fans and everything. But we want to preach physicality. We talk about being physical, and I want to execute. Take the first game, for instance. You talk about being on a stage like ABC television, everything that comes with that. I want to go out there and basically have a good, clean football game, with all eyes on us. It's not just HBCU world that'll be looking at. You got the SEC world, ACC, because we're on, we'll have that national spotlight. So it's big for me, not a lot of bad snaps, holding penalties. The special teams look good, and just put a good brand of football on that evening for the entire country. Because anytime you can get that kind of platform, it's a lot of coaches across the country right now wish they can have that opportunity that we're going to have on Saturday night. But to get more to your question, I just want to play fast. Yeah, that's the thing I talked about our guys with, just play fast. But while we're playing fast, we're playing a good, clean game. We're executing at a high level and, go out there and execute the plans that our coaching staff has put together in order for us to go win the football game.
I heard you mention you're chomping at the bit, and understandably, you have a fan base that's really, really chomping at the bit. How exciting is it for you to put your team out in front of this rabid fan base? My mama was telling me the other day she couldn't get to you with so many people around you, but it is what it is. Just excited fan base ready to watch Jackson State ball.
Everybody is excited about the newness right now and, the things that we've done over the last couple of years. But I know it's all about winning football games. We got a big task ahead of us talking about three-peating as a SWAC championship and going to play for that third Celebration Bowl. But these kids, they understand the assignment. They really do understand the assignment, especially the guys that we brought in. They really inherited a responsibility to go out there and play a good brand of football for Jackson State. And they tell me that on a day-to-day basis. They're excited. I'm excited, looking forward to it. But, for the main thing, I tell them, just take it all in, because once this thing takes off Saturday, it's going to be flying, especially these next 3 weeks. You talk about a opponent like South Carolina State and Buddy Pugh, and we all know what that FAMU game is about with Coach Willie Simmons. And then we got to go open up Baton Rouge in 3 weeks down there at Southern. So this is going to tell me a lot about our football team going forward. But we're excited about it, and I wouldn't have it no other way, Chuck.
One more quick question, and I want to ask you about this. And I don't want to say the difficulty, but the uniqueness of preparing for a senior like Corey Fields, a veteran, if you will, a quarterback who's been there, done it, seen it all. What is the uniqueness in preparing for a veteran quarterback at this level?
Well, a lot of times what you try to do when you're facing a good quarterback, take away all the other pieces around him away, and try to make him win the game on his own. They got some size at the receiver position. And a lot of people don't talk about, they got a veteran group on the offensive line that's doing a great job that's going to do a great job for it. We saw a lot of those guys 2 years ago in the Celebration Bowl, and they played a physical brand, like we said earlier. But we know in order to, take some of their success away offensively, we got to stop that kid. That kid he's played a lot of football. He's seen it all. He knows Coach Pugh. He knows what type of football they want to play, even though they do have a new offensive coordinator in there. But, they got a chip on their shoulder. They came back coming off a 3-8 season. They felt like they was a lot better. And I do think they were a lot better. He missed 4 games last year. And that meant a lot to that football team. But it's like I told the team this morning, this is a football team that beat the team that beat us in the Celebration Bowl last year. You know, they did beat North Carolina Central, you know, and so we know in order to have some success this weekend, we got to stop the quarterback.
Sure.
Man, you talk about that offensive line with Nick Tace, Cam Johnson, and Corey Field in terms of him coming back. There's a lot of dynamics I'd like to get into a little bit. What do you think they're going to try to do in this game in terms of, do you believe they're going to try to run the ball a little more and be physical at the tack, since that's one of the things that a lot of the MEAC seems to want to do, or do you think they're going to open it up a little more?
You know, previously that the offense coordinator that was, you know, that they brought in, you know, just studying him as a coordinator, you know, he spreads the ball a lot of quick game type of concepts as far as the passing game, which kind of play into their hands, getting the ball out quick. You know, we preach about our defensive line, so we got to get there, get our hands up, and try to take those quick game passes away. But you know, it's gonna kind of be like a championship bout. You know, when you got two boxes going there, they trying to fill each other out. You got two new coaching staffs. They got some question marks in certain places on offense and defense, and same for us. So I think, you know, the second half is what's going to be interesting. Anytime you got a lot of turnover for our staffs, a lot of new players, who can go in there at the halftime and make those adjustments and come out, you know, and find a way to win the game? You know, I think that's what it's going to kind of be, a little slugfest, a bunch of jabs thrown in the first half. And then in the second half, you know, you're going to see people open up and throw some haymakers out there.
Speaking of haymakers, are there any players that you're really excited to get on that turf this weekend?
Hold on before you answer that. We're going to take a second break. We'll come back, and we want to make sure you get a chance to fully answer that question. You talk about playmakers and all this fighting. It rhymes true when you got Edwin D. Moore out here talking about Swagger's Ali, Miak is Frazier, Swagger's Sugar Ray Leonard, Miak is Hitman Hearn. So all these fighting vernaculars y'all got to go excited, man. They going to the boxing.
Hey, now, Atlanta's going to be something beautiful this weekend. If you can get there, everybody needs to get to Atlanta this weekend. I tell you that.
I'll book my plane ticket and hotel. I'll be there, shake your hand, and let you know I'm ready to mix it up as well. Stick with us, Coach. I know you're busy, but if you would give us a little more time in the second half, we want to get in there and talk a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball for both teams. Give you a chance to answer Charles' question in regards to getting a little more insight and some details of what this football team will look like. We'll be right back after the second break.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
You see, Head & Shoulders has Scalp Shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
T. Madden & Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden & Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna love, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike is out on assignment, but we got the head coach, Jackson State University, love TC Taylor in the building. It's good to have him because, you know, I know Charles is going to follow up with his question, but the man's phone is going on. We trying to get him for the media day. You got Dwayne. My man, you know, Dwayne, I go back, man. We call up, I'm hooking him up. He's like, Dwayne, we gonna do this. He works with me, but he's like, he looking at his watch, like, we just try. Gotta go. We gotta go.
Hey,
police have to let you the president.
And let me say this: I was trying to get over there. He snatches me out. He got me by the collar. Now I want that to be known. I told him, I said, you better go get Dr. Chuck them first now. We gotta go. We gotta go. Then we get to the airport, the flight delayed 3 hours. So
let Dwayne know I got dinner next time. I know what it was. I didn't buy him that steak dinner last time. Charles, go ahead before I get, I get frustrated over
that's exactly what it was, then.
Hey, Coach, let me go back and ask, are there any players, both I guess on the offense and defense side of the ball, that you're really looking forward to getting out on the turf this weekend?
We could talk about a lot of guys, and I mean that wholeheartedly on this football team, especially the ones that's been here. You know, you talk about the J.D. Martins, the guy that came down to SWAC Media Day, Devontae Davis, Antonio Doyle at the defensive end position, Evan Henry at the O-line position, Rico Powers at receiver, the two Jalen Hughes and Keevrick Wiggins has been having great camps. But, you know, the thing, Chuck, that I'm more intrigued about are the new faces. You know, we got some new faces around here that are really, really showing some potential to be really good players. Some, you know, that can even compete with some of the players that we've had in the past here. So those are the ones I got the biggest question marks about. You know, it's some names I think is going to catch some eyes coming this weekend and like, who is that guy? And it's quite a few. That's something that I pride myself on, you know, in this staff, that we've done a good job for us recruiting depth. You know, everybody's dealing with an injury here or there, but you know, when you're able to plug in another guy, a fresh face in there and not skip a beat, that's always good. Junior Miller, a guy that's been on the shelf for a couple of years. I hate to call his name, but he's been doing some special stuff on the football field. But those are the ones I'm kind of excited about, all the new faces. You know, Isaias Guthrie from Delaware State transfer. He's been having a great camp. And, you know, our specialists, you know, we got Matt Nola, All-American punter in here. This kid can flip the field. We call him G-Baby. He was here last year, did our kickoff stuff. He'll handle our kicking duties. He's been lights out. So I can go on and on. But like I tell the guys, nothing matters to me till I see you put it out there in the game and go do your thing when the lights are on in front of the crowd.
Sure.
Man, I like you dropping those names. That's pretty good, Coach. Now we got something to keep our eyes and look at.
It's game week.
Mention him.
It's game week.
Hey, but so much we go back on film now. I understand. I did want to ask you this question about fast. You know, you said earlier in the interview that you want your team to play fast. Mm-hmm. What kind of things do you do in practice that puts in motion the mindset and then the actual action of playing fast?
Well, the thing in practice is everything is based on tempo. I mean, you know, as far as our stretch, our transition from drill to drill, we don't do no walking around. If you come watch our practices, you'll get tired watching it. You know, just the way that we demand our guys moving around at a high level, at a high tempo pace. And also, too, you know, you just preaching tempo. You know, I think it's great when the referees come in here and they direct those scrimmages and they're allowing us to move fast, but understanding the speed of a game, how a game actually works when you're moving at tempo, you know, making sure we're set at certain times. But you have to preach that to a football team now, because you playing football games, and that's what it is in college football now. Everything is fast. You know, you want to get the ball snapped fast, and you got to make sure your defense that's the number one key when you're dealing with tempo. You know, facing these high tempo offenses, a lot of substitutions, and then they're getting the ball spotted, snapping the ball in 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds. So, you know, I'm on my coaches a lot too, as far as getting the calls in. You know, be sure about what you call, have confidence in it, and go with what your heart is telling you, you know, because that's what it's going to be. when we get to those game situations, it's going to move even faster, and the thought process has got to be a whole lot different as well. You know, it's not just moving fast. You got to be thinking fast at the same time. So you got to be able to comprehend the play, go out there and execute it, and move it physically at a fast pace. But it's something that we preach every day, every station, every period in practice. You know, we'll go out here tonight. We're doing night practice tonight. Shout out to President Anthony. You know, we got our lights going on the field right now. So it's going to be a beautiful thing. We're going to try to simulate what it's going to be like this weekend. But the same deal, we'll get out there. And like I said, from beginning to end, we're moving. You know, I don't like to be out there long. If we're moving at a good tempo and I get what I need to see, we're off of there. But you try to preach and execute those things in practice.
Tell Dwayne to tell Ashley to stop calling. You know, we know he worked everything out. He's excited about being. Just tell him we'll get to him next time. I'm sorry. I wasn't supposed to say that. Go ahead, Charles. Wrong enemy.
Coach, I mean, you're a former player. How is it having those lights out there for practice?
It's amazing. You know, what it did for those kids the first time we were able to go out there under the lights last week and see their energy level. It was huge. It was huge. And being able to simulate those type situations for us game, it was good for our kids, for our coaches, trainers, everybody. It was just high energy. And then let me say this, it's been hot.
Right, exactly.
It's been hot. So, you know, you got to be careful with that. You know, we was out there the other day and you talking about 103, 104, 105 temperatures as far as heat index. So you got to be able to take care of your student athletes as well. And that's what these lights allow us to do. You look at us down the road, we play a Texas State team. That's a night game. So you can't just practice. I'm a firm believer. You got to put your team in those type situations, what the game will be. So, you know, receivers have to see the ball different. The DBs have to see the ball different. We got to, as far as the substitutions and everything we're making, it's at night now. You know, you want to move around. You move around differently. But it allows you to see the actual team speed of your team as well. Because, like I said, it's been some hot days. I think Thursday is going to be up to like 107 here. So for us to be able to go out there and under those lights and just, you know, continue to work and play what we talked about a minute ago is at a high, fast pace, it pays dividends. And Chuck, when I think back when I was here, you know, playing on a Big Daddy and Judd, you know,
yeah.
we were doing those 3 a days and we go out there and it was like 4 lights working and we were still out there. You know what I mean? So Big Daddy didn't care if it was dark or not. We're gonna get that practice. So, and that's what I was telling one of the coaches, man. I said, for me to be in a former player here, I've never seen those lights, you know, all the lights working out there. So it touched me, you know, to see that and being able to provide that for our student athletes. Not only football though, you know, you think about everybody else that's going to benefit from this. Our track team, who has had a lot of success, even our soccer team. You know, being able to get in some of those cooler nights and, you know, pop those lights on, or those early mornings. You know, some teams may start at 6 o'clock. Heck, it's dark out there. So be able to turn those lights on. These student athletes see we have a big demand for excellence, and we're going to continue to be excellent here. You know, at this program.
There it is.
There it is. You know, you much respected when Belinda Johnson says best wishes, Coach Taylor from Alkanite. So even respected from the vaunted rival. So a lot of stuff going on there. But talking about the game, let's get a little bit of talk in this as we start to close this out for you. How much do you focus on your game plan implementation versus the game plan that you're doing against your counterpart, in this case, South Carolina State?
To answer your question, you know, you got to stick to what you've been practicing. You got to stick. We've had quite some time to start, you know, preparing for these guys for a good football team. And like I said, I know what Buddy Pugh brings to the table. You talk about a guy that's been coaching, you know, longer than I've been living. So you're talking about loads of knowledge. You know, he put out a great article talking about the JSU team is better than the 2021 team. I'm like, all right, Coach, I'm kind of keeping an eye on you with that. I know you created a little bulletin board material with it. You know what I mean? But so you talking about one of the GOATs, you know, one of the winningest coaches at South Carolina State. And I mean,
he's sly, ain't he?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. But I think what better way as a first-time head coach to go play on ABC against a legendary coaching program like South Carolina State. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to trust my coaches to answer your question. those guys really been working their butts off. We got a great staff here, great coordinator, great offense coordinator, defense coordinator, position coaches. Everybody around me has one goal set, and that's to win a championship. But we're taking it one game at a time. So we're going to go out there. We pretty much have finalized all our game plans. We're going to stick to it. I told them by tomorrow, everything need to be clean. It has to be right by tomorrow. You want the players believing in that plan as well. So we're going to go with what we got, what we've been preparing with probably the last couple of weeks. We're going to stick to it. And, the players got to play, though. The players got to play. We can put these extravagant plans together, but in the end, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes on the field.
Let's get back a little, Jimmy and Joe, if you allow me. I know a lot of this is about your team, but I'd be remiss if I didn't focus a little bit in terms of the defensive side for South Carolina State. They always seem to be loaded. You experienced that, and they seem to find these gems in the rough in South Carolina, and they find a way to get them opportunity where they work them out and they go do well at the NFL level. But you got Patrick, defensive lineman, all American, obviously Jared, Octavian, Aaron as the linebacker, but they got a front three that are all conference players preseason. Some of them last year, some of them getting looks. Juniors and seniors. Talk about what makes them formidable from your perspective from a defensive side of the ball.
It's tradition. If you think back when we played Central, the linebacker that's all world with the Colts, the D linemen, those guys were draftable guys that are still playing in the NFL right now. They traditionally, they believe that they're going to build that thing around playing good defense, and they're going to play hard. And that's just something they hang their hat on. We coming into a game 2 years ago, we're 12-1, they're 6-5 team. But they came out and set the tone defensively. Those same couple of D linemen you talk about, seem like they've been there 7-8 years. I'm like, man, they ain't going yet.
they taking 2 COVID years, huh?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, they still there.
I mean, that brings up a good question, Coach. I mean, how disruptive is a defensive lineman like Patrick Godbolt?
Oh man, shoot, he plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage. That's what he does a good job of. But that's what we got to, be able to handle the penetration by those guys. This kid has a high motor. He's not very big in stature, but as far as him being built and play with that type of leverage, we're gonna have to deal with that. And here's another thing, I talked about those guys with all the knowledge, and they've been around Coach Pugh as well. We got an entire group, besides Evan Henry, a bunch of new faces on the offensive line. And I challenge those guys, you guys got to come together and figure this thing out, because this group here, what I do remember 2 years ago, they didn't stop. They didn't take plays off. They were steady coming the entire football game. And that's, like I said, that goes based off a lot of tradition at South Carolina State. One thing Coach Pugh going to do, he might throw that ball around a little bit, but he's going to run that ball and play good defense. And that's what it is. And those guys buy into it and they play their butts off for him. But a player like that, you got to account for him, know where he's at on the football field, and, just try to, go right at him, try to match tick for tack with him. And, in the end, we'll see how it goes.
Sure. Yeah, I can't wait. This is exciting. This is why you do that. In fact, Coach, whenever you can, we need more of these games. I know the benefit of the MEAC Challenge, but
yeah.
Non-conference, I know it's hard to ask you to do that. You got a conference slate that is second to none. But let you and your colleagues know that we want more of these MEAC matchups.
We're going to try to give you another one in December. We're looking to give you another one in December.
All right, yeah. I feel that. Last thing is, I'd be remiss if I didn't give you the last word, because you just stole it on that one. That was a good one. So I don't know if you want to share some other words with your fans. That was pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, Doc, like I always say,
I might owe you a steak dinner for that one.
Like I always say, for me, coming up in the HBCU world as a player, got a degree from an HBCU, I always like to speak to the fans. Come out and support these kids in these programs. No matter where you at, Division II level, whatever level, come out and support HBCU football. The brand has really taken off the last couple of years. The things that's been going on, the exposure that we're getting. Come out and buy these tickets. I know a lot of people, like right now, for instance, everybody coming to Atlanta, but they want to see how we look before they get to Miami. So stick with us, come out, support these kids and understand like they working their butts off. They're working their butts off. But that's the main thing. Just support HBCU overall. Get behind these kids, get behind these coaches and everything going on because we're not stopping. And that's HBCU as a whole. This thing is really going to take off and we're looking forward to it.
Coach, we know you're busy and you got a lot to go. The phone ringing. We're gonna let you get to it. Appreciate you in terms of spending as much as time you did and giving us some of the time back. We kid you because we care, but we want to see you do great things and continue the hard, diligent work you're doing. We look forward to seeing you this weekend.
All right, thanks, Doc. That means a lot, man. Anytime, I look forward to getting with you guys again. We say what this weekend?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We got you.
I'll be there. I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it, Coach.
All right, thank y'all. Y'all be safe.
No problem. We'll take our third break. We'll come back after this break. You just heard from Coach T.C. Taylor, Jackson State University head football coach. We'll be right back on the other side.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Obviously, this is the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and I hadn't got a chance to tie it in to show. We talked about it a little bit. I grew up hip hop head. I feel like a child of hip hop. I'm sure, Charles, you feel the same way. So I just wanted to get in a little bit of this discussion as we got a chance to celebrate so much. So, Charles, I wanted to ask you this particular question before we got too far into discussion. What is your fundamental mindset, or what do you recall that not just connected you to hip hop, but what was your connection to hip hop and HBCUs? What was the first time where it really resonated with you, that connection between your HBCU sporting experience and hip hop?
In the 80s, Def Jam had the Fresh Fest. And the Fresh Fest came to the Athletics and Assembly Center in Jackson. And it was an electric environment to see Run DMC, one of the hottest groups in the nation, on the campus of Jackson State University. Houdini as well. So, and no label was hotter than Def Jam at the time, and Public Enemy. So you had these iconic groups that were touring, and they hit the HBCU market, and they hit HBCUs. And I think that was, I'm 12 years old, something to that effect. And the Public Enemy intro was unlike anything that I've ever seen. When the S1Ws hit the stage and Professor Griff, I still get chill bumps even thinking about it. So that was a connection right there. The fact that they were on the campus of Jackson State University for me growing up in Jackson.
Man, that hit home for me, especially when you said Houdini. Mine was not on campus yet. My first recollection, I should say, was before I hit campus. But it does involve the HBCU. I was in high school with one of the organizations, youth groups there, and they took us to the State Fair class. So obviously Prairie View and Grambling. So you had some of the action on the football field, but the bands were into it. And I remember them playing Houdini, speak about that, the One Love.
5 minutes of fun.
And it fascinated me because, you know, I'm like, oh, I got it. You heard it and you instantly, you was like, ooh. And you hear these crowds and they singing it or rapping it. And you just like, wow, this is big. This is big. So let's go back a little bit in terms of when you hit campus as a student. In regards to it. What were you listening to when you hit campus? What do you recall, whether when you hit campus or what would have been the biggest song while you were on campus? It can be a correlation of when you, at the time, I got to be careful because I don't want to say pledge, but when you were going through the organization of Alpha Phi Fraternity.
Sure.
Because A-Phi is a non-hazing organization. I just want all my listeners out there to know this, you know. We don't do that. That's not what we're a part of. So I don't want to say pledging.
Correct.
Right? So Mike is not here to sound off. He got to walk the yard. We were a little different generation, so he gets a little nervous. So any of that part of it, whichever direction you want to go on the yard as a student, what were you listening to?
I get to Jackson State in the early 90s, 1991. I remember distinctly Too Short. I mean, and you also had an individual, a lot of people were playing a DJ in Atlanta, DJ Smurf. So you had all these Smurf tapes that were going around. But at that time, Atlanta was starting to become the epicenter of a lot of what was going on in hip hop. So I'm fortunate, I'm blessed to be at an HBCU during that time when Freaknik gets really popular. And what I always remember, especially during my time, either motivational techniques that were going on at the time, either that or just the ride over to Freaknik was a lot of the South was starting to pop in. So you're talking about UGK, you're talking about the Ghetto Boy. Oh, but UGK was in constant rotation on the way there. And then you learned about Cass because they were passing out tapes when you were there. And then it was like the ride back, like, who was this group? So it was like, you know, you kind of got the best of both worlds, you know, going to Freaknik and coming back from Freaknik because you got exposed to something else. So it was, you know, early 90s, early to mid 90s, HBCU. Oh my God. I can't even put it in words. I mean, I know everybody loves their era, but
no, I feel you on that. As Outkast would ultimately say, the South got something to say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. And
well, Mike wrote this. He said his top group was NWA, Run DMC. Top duel for him was Eric B. and Rakim, 8 Ball and MJG.
Yeah.
Give
oh God.
The love for that.
Oh God. Yes.
Houston connection there. Top solo was Notorious B.I.G., Big Daddy Kane, and Tupac is what he had. I did this. I broke it down in terms of eras. So I had the 70s, you know, coming on the late side of that. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. I remember that quintessential song, Don't Push Me, I'm Close to the Edge. that just resonated in regards to what hip hop was then and what it would be.
Mm-hmm.
In the 80s, I'm right with you. Public Enemy. I had my medallion, the African Bambaataa. I even, freshman year, I had a dashiki with the thing with the little curl dreads. I might show people some pictures there, but I don't want to get y'all too excited.
Sure.
I'm married now, so I don't want no trouble. Number 90s. Ghetto Boys, which resonated because you talk about Houston, Texas. Obviously was a big thing. Scarface was doing his thing. DOC obviously didn't quite realize until a little later that he was actually from Dallas, even though you put him in part of LA and NWA that Mike talked about. But I always say in a lot of ways, state of Texas has two of the top 5 rappers of all time when you talk about DOC and Scarface in terms of the ability to tie those rhymes and lyrically what they can spit out. Obviously, Scarface has been able to do it over a period of time. And DOC, he really shot it out the box almost with just one album, what he's put out there. 2000s that you talked about was Outkast. 2010s, there was a group of them. Lil Wayne, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole kept me into it. And then obviously for the younger generation, at least for the beats, the Migos and stuff of that. But I want to take this second break, come back on the other side, and see if we can give you a little bonus time. So stick with us. We're going to see if we can stick on just a little longer. So listeners, usually we cover the show out at this point, but we're going to see if we got a little surprise for you and get a little bonus time, particularly since we're getting into the Celebration Bowl, MEAC SWAC Challenge Week to be exact. Stick with us. Be right back after this break.
UltraSoft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody.
Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it. Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kind of got a 6th sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
Hit the field, warm up. You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah.
So you.
It is.
There's a Buick that fits your life, because at the heart of every Buick SUV is you.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
The Cavil. Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. So with this final part of hip hop, I did want it makes sense for the 50th anniversary that John Grant has. The remaining tickets is 1,500 plus ticket. Coca-Cola fan experience will be Dougie Fresh. And what that looks like. And with that being said, we have none other than Coach Pugh giving us a little time. He has a meeting coming up here in terms of players meeting. So we're going to get him in here, but wanted the chance to get legendary coach on. Coach Pugh, how you doing?
Hey, Dr. Cavil, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Just so I make sure I have it correct, because I don't want to hold you on, because I want to make sure I get my next interview. How much time do we got?
You got what you need now. I'm done for the evening. At least I think I am. I never know for sure.
That's perfect. That's
but I kind of think I'm done. Yes.
All right. Well, we'll get a good 15, 20 minutes in here. Make sure we get into the wraps.
Let's hope.
What I wanted to ask you, one of my first questions is, we getting in a little bonus time, is, obviously you had the experience of Celebration Bowl. You've had the experience in terms of the MEAC SWAC challenge in terms of that. So I wanted to ask you a little bit, and then we'll see, maybe we can get you a little light to make sure, because we don't want to say that we cut you out. They think we did that. We don't want to have your fans mad at us, Coach.
I'm trying to figure out how to make this thing lighter. Ordinarily during the daytime, I have one of my coaches around here to kind of fix some of this mess that I run into.
It worked a little bit. I don't know what you did there. It lighted up. I don't know. You twisted.
I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do.
There you go.
Is that better? I'm gonna get. Let me turn some light on it here. Maybe that'll help.
All right.
There you go.
Perfect.
I'm a little bit darker. Let's see.
That's the old ball coach.
Exactly. You gotta love it.
I love it.
Yes, indeed.
You gotta love it.
How about that?
Yeah, there you go. A little better.
It ain't quite there, but yeah.
All right.
There we go.
It is. Right there.
But can you see me?
Yes, sir.
We see.
Okay, I can't see myself, but that's fine. Let's do it. All right.
Yep, let's get into it. So I wanted to ask you, is there a different way that you go about getting prepared for this game versus when it was the Celebration Bowl at the end of the season, now that you're opening it up in the MEAC Challenge?
Oh, a lot different. The big difference is the fact that we got so little information on Jackson State this time around. The last time we played them, we had a full season behind us, and anytime you've got that many games, it's you just kind of a victim of your own work ethic. If you got time to go through all that stuff, work every bit of it, you can. If you want to do 3 games, you can. That kind of. In this particular regard, Jackson's got 60-some new guys on their team, transfers. They've got an entirely new staff. So you're trying to go about collecting data in all kinds of strange ways that you don't necessarily do. And what makes it worse for us is that we generally do summer scouting reports on our first 2 or 3 opponents. This year, all 3 of our opening opponents, both Jackson, University of Charlotte, and Georgia Tech all have new staffs. And what makes it worse is the 4th team, the Citadel, that we play our first home game with, also has a new staff. Now, that guy used to be on our staff here, but at the same time, you don't get a chance to do much pre-summer work on those guys because they don't have anything out there to work on. So this is a lot different deal. We pride ourselves in being pretty analytical as far as how we go about handling, our business that way. But at the same time, this is, a little bit different.
Mm.
Charles, you want to jump in and follow up?
Yeah, I did. And Coach P, I wanted to ask this question. Coming into this season, 2023, what was the difference in the camp versus coming into the season in 2022 when you were the hunted and you're the defending Black College National Champion? What has been the difference in the camps?
Is that we sucked last year. We were off. How about that? It's one of those kind of deals where we come in one year, we the king of the hill, and we come in the next year and we last. So you know how it is going from worst to first? Well, first to worst is a lot worse, I can tell you. So in a situation such as ours, I can tell you that I don't want to do what I did, and my president said, you ought not say you don't know. I said, you ought to say, we hadn't quite. I said, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know. If I do know, I would do everything different this time around. But now, it's one of those kind of deals where, I think our guys have had enough. Now, whether we are good enough to actually go back and reverse the tide completely, is going to be determined. I would like to think that we could, but I'm sure we are somewhere between where we were this past season and where we were then when we had just beaten Jackson in the Celebration Bowl. And we need to figure out how to get as close back to that particular team as we possibly can. I don't know if we can right now. I don't know if we got the personnel. And, we still have issues from time to time in certain positions. So it'll be interesting to see just how far along we can get from last year this time around.
How big is it to have a veteran quarterback like Corey Fields coming back to lead this team and try to turn things around from last
year? Big. It's good to have a grown-up in charge sometimes. And, of course, a 6-year guy, he's finishing up his master's. He's got all his teaching certifications. He can go out and do – and I got to – when you talk about the transfer pool, I got to fight off principals who want to take my guy and make him that daggum coach or make him a that PE teacher, the athletic director, some of that kind of stuff. Because he's a mature guy, that kind of stuff. And he throws the ball around really well. So you can always depend on Corey to kind of sort of know what he's supposed to do. And he may not necessarily execute sometimes to the level that I like him to, but, it's not for lack of trying.
Mm.
Offensively, you have the big men up front, Nick and Cam, in terms of what they were able to do Do you stick in since you got a new coordinator coming in there? I know you can't give us your full game plan, but just in general, do you do what you always do with the idea that you want to run the ball, or you think you're going to do a little more, maybe throwing the ball around a little bit more?
Well, we need to do both. I think the key to offensive success is to mix it up. I think you gotta be able to do both. And I don't know in today's game if you can run the ball, if you can't throw it. I don't know if you can throw it if you can't run it. So, you got to have an idea about how to do both. And this guy that we've hired, Kevin McGort, is a veteran of a session or two in our league, so he kind of knows South Carolina State and the MEAC. He has not worked against Jackson before, but we're looking forward to seeing how he develops. This is not a life and death kind of deal here, Dr. Cavil. We would like to get in here and beat up on Jackson. That'd be a lot of fun. I tell you what, our fans took a lot of joy in it, but at the same time, I don't know enough about us or them, to kind of predict. Guys say, do you know? You think you're going? I don't know what I'm going into right now. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm just like you. I'm going to the game waiting to see what happens.
With that, now let Charles jump back in here. When you do that, you're right. This is one of the most challenging analysis I've done on many of the HBC programs, because there's so many teams that are taking the next step, but there's some question mark here and there, and you're like just trying to figure it out. But for a coach, in terms of game planning, how much do you just say, all right, we're going to do what we do or what I think we can do, and then you make your changes based on what you do well in the game versus of trying to figure out what another team may want to do or not?
Yeah, this is the kind of game that you want that guy on the sideline, who's got, a riverboat gambler or whatever you want to call it. He can fix things on the run, He's a MacGyver guy. So, in a situation where you get into these kinds of situations and you see things, you can go and have an answer, that kind of stuff. So, I'm hoping that we've got that kind of expertise on our staff. It'll be interesting to see just how we react. This is a great evaluation for us. It's a good opportunity to start a year. And for me, I got two new coordinators. My defensive guy is a good old veteran MEAC assistant. He's a Morehouse guy. Them guys down in Morehouse, they think they smarter than the rest of us. And I said, they sure
will tell you what they are.
and probably, and I think all of them are really smarter than me. The first criteria in me hiring a guy is he got to be smarter than me. I say, I don't need him. If you're not smarter than me, I don't need you. I say, because I can tell you that I'm not very smart, and I need help.
You found a way to get it done. I know that much. Charles, go ahead.
But the best way to do it is to hire good help. I guarantee you.
That makes sense.
Yes,
That's what good leaders do.
I guarantee you that'll work.
Bring in talented people.
Coach, let me jump back here and let me ask this question. I wanted to go back to something you said. You've been kind of pulling information from here and there in terms of trying to get a fix on this Jackson State football team. But from T.C. Taylor's time in the MEAC, what do you remember about him and his coaching style?
Well, he was the OC at North Carolina Central with Jerry Mack. And Jerry Mack went through this league like Sherman. I mean, he tore us up there for about a year and a half or so. And, this guy was one of the pieces in that formula. So, that's what kind of resonates back through my mind. And he came in here with big gap scheme. I remember the schemes that he ran back in that day. Now, whether or not he'll be, similar, because he's got an OC now, and those guys, they've been out working with Hugh Freeze and all them kind of guys. They got all kinds of high-level kind of connections now. I don't know what they've learned, since, I saw them last. But I can tell you that they've all been growing. I know we all have been trying to grow. And it'll be interesting to see just where they've gone since I've seen them last.
Sure.
Go ahead, Charles.
Well, no, I think that was a great answer because I think the uniqueness of that team being the roster turnover that's been there, and then the uniqueness of your team trying to bounce back. A lot of new faces. Are there guys on your team that you're really looking forward to what they can do this upcoming Saturday?
Well, we got freshmen. We got young kids. Now, the old guys, I kind of sort of know, what their means of abilities are. So it'll be okay for those guys. But we got a couple freshman running backs and a freshman wide receiver and an offensive lineman and a linebacker, that kind of stuff. And we got a couple transfers too. We took a defensive back from Alcorn, a guy named Malcolm McGee, who's a safety, and then we took a tight end from Chattanooga, Keyshawn Toney, and then we took a linebacker. And believe it or not, the reason I took the linebacker was because his highlight film was mostly him beating up on South Carolina State. So I figured that, you know what, I'm going to take the guy to keep him having to play against his butt again.
I know that's right.
Linebacker from Delaware. So guys say, I don't know whether this is irony or doggone the guy just wanted to try to show me how much. I don't know what the world was going on there, but I can tell you what, it dawned on me that I thought I was better off taking him. I said, you need to be on my side. I said, because otherwise I'm going to have to kill you.
Let's stay on that defensive side of the ball. You got Patrick, Jared, Octavian, the linebacker, Aaron Smith, defensive front. So in a lot of ways, people are expecting that defense to really, give some teams some fits. Yeah. I know you don't want to necessarily talk too much about that, but what are your expectations of what you have on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, we got a lot of returning personnel. We got some good guys. Let's face it, Garbolt and Jablonski Green, I think, about as nice as two defensive ends you have. And Jablonski's about one biscuit now from being a defensive tackle. So, he's kind of moving in a direction now where, he's a little bit. At one time, I thought he was like that guy that plays for the Rams. What's that guy named from Pittsburgh? And Aaron Taylor, whatever his name is. Anyway,
Aaron Donaldson.
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald, yeah, that guy. Yeah, I thought he was that guy for a while because he was that kind of size-looking body, and he was quick as all get out. But now he's kind of a slow. But I pick at him all the time because he's 300 pounds now. I think he's going to be a professional prospect, though, as a defensive tackle. And
nice.
We moved him down inside some, so he'll play that some. I guess I just gave away something. And then we have two or three other linebacker, defensive back type guys. We get Jalen Evans back. We lost our best defensive secondary guy in last year before the season, and we got him back now for a 7th year. And then we've got we lost B.J. Davis, the linebacker number 5, that really ran around and struck a lot of guys. He grad transfers out of here to East Carolina. So we've gotten, I think, the majority of that team back in place now. We got a new scheme, and I don't know whether we'll be quite as successful in that scheme as we was in the one last year. But I chose to go in this direction because I wanted to get into a look that was a little, I think, maybe more vanilla and more fundamental and less I guess maybe attacking, because I wanted to be sounder. And I like the idea of not giving up. We gave up too many big plays last year. So that's kind of a mission to try to see if we can be better that way on defense. So it'll be interesting to see exactly, how we go about handling our business. We may have to go back to business as usual from last year because we can go back and do what we did. But at the same time, we like to try to see if we could maybe be a little less doggone attacking.
Last question I got for you, Coach. Obviously, after having the success and participating in the Celebration Bowl, ultimately becoming Black College National Champions 2 years ago, you talked about how much the television exposure really took things to another level that you may not quite expect. Now you're opening it up on ABC on Saturday night prime time. Talk a little bit about what you know now is the opportunity and potentially the importance of being able to play in a game like this.
And I appreciate it too. I think we'll probably have about as high numbers as you can have for schools such as ours, in a game such as this. ABC, I think, has got a nice little project on his hands here that Saturday evening to, get us in front of the entire HBCU country that way. And, I think I could not go anywhere. The game that we did in the Celebration Bowl was still probably the most seen that I've ever been a part of. And, we've been a part of some pretty good sized games. So it's pretty obvious that, that they had a good idea about this, because they named this thing almost immediately before the Celebration Bowl goal, thinking that there'd be an opportunity for a rematch. I didn't think they thought we'd win at the Celebration Bowl. I think they thought we'd be trying to come back and get a win and try to get even, They had no idea it'd be the opposite, but at the same time, it's now our job to make sure they don't get even. Now, whether we can or not is to be determined.
No doubt. Well, I'm going to leave you with the last word before we take this last break, and then we'll come back and close the show. Anything that you want to share in terms of questions that we didn't ask?
No, it's always just a tremendous opportunity. I appreciate ESPN and ABC and all the people, because they own this thing, giving us this opportunity. Our fans, all of our alumni, everybody gets so excited about being a part of this thing. So we just want to go down and put on a good show. And, we look forward to seeing you all down there this coming Saturday.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you, Coach, chopping up a little bit. Know you game ready, so we'll get a chance to do a little more afterwards after everything goes down. As of Sunday night, there were only a little over 1,500 tickets left. So I'm sure they sold a little bit. Yeah, according to John Grant, giving us that update there. So it's going to be a big one. Look forward to it. Okay. And we can't wait to see you down there, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this, and we'll close out the show with this last break. That's none other than South Carolina State. Coach Buddy Pugh, the Hall of.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I just want to say thanks, Charles, for sticking with us. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Gave you a little extra time, bonus time. We got both head coaches on for this big matchup. MEAC celebration in terms of what's going on in this game and matchup. We do have some news that we want to share with you. Make sure you check out the Fan Fest, the Coca-Cola fan experience with the appearance of Dougie Fresh at 3 o'clock, talking about the 50th anniversary of hip hop. That's a tie-in. And also look for us, the Game Time Show. We'll have a 3-hour segment where we will be around this experience. So look for us and the team, BCSN. We'll show up out there and give you
Horse.
Roy?
Lecture.
Dismiss.